Welcome to the Abandoned Podcasts, to our world of spine-tingling stories. This is not just a podcast, it's an experience. Get ready to dive into the scariest tales. Ready? Hit that subscribe button, and let's begin. In sunny San Jose, underneath the California sun, stood the curious Winchester House. It was a massive mansion with walls that seemed to speak secrets only the wind, the walls themselves, and folks like me could understand. I, an ordinary construction worker, was part of the team tasked with bringing Sarah Winchester's peculiar vision to life. It all began on a warm day when Mrs. Sarah Winchester arrived, a widow with eyes that carried the weight of loss. Her husband, Mr. William Wirt Winchester, had been a wealthy man thanks to the rifles his company had sold. When he passed away, Mrs. Winchester inherited his vast fortune, but her fortune came with a strange belief that the spirits of those killed by Winchester rifles were now haunting her. As time passed, it became apparent that Mrs. Winchester was not any usual homeowner. Construction teams worked relentlessly, day and night, building as if racing against time. The mansion grew rapidly, as if she was trying to build her way out of her dark past. From my point as a laborer, I couldn't help but be surprised by the mansion's strange design. Staircases led to nowhere. Doors opened into solid walls, and hallways twisted and turned in a confusing pattern. It was a puzzle that left me in awe. As the mansion took shape, I couldn't help but wonder about the life of Mrs. Winchester. She had changed from the lively woman she once was. Conversations with my fellow workers revealed that she had suffered devastating losses, including the deaths of her husband and her young daughter Annie. These losses had left her deeply scarred, and her constant construction appeared to be an attempt to fill the void within her. Mrs. Winchester's odd habits extended beyond the construction site. When night came, the mansion came alive with the glow of candles. Strange chants and incomprehensible words filled the air, creating an unsettling atmosphere. One dark night, curiosity got the better of me. I carefully approached a partially open window. Inside, I saw Mrs. Winchester in a dimly lit room. She held a delicate silver chalice, her voice trembling as she uttered words that made no sense to me. The candles flickered wildly, casting ghostly, shifting shadows that moved like haunting hallucinations in the dark. Years passed, and the construction showed no signs of stopping. Many of the workers, including me, settled down in the same neighborhood to always be ready for the unstoppable work. Day by day, the mansion's complicated design only grew more mysterious. Mrs. Winchester insisted that she was guided by spirits, and they whispered their instructions to her during the still of the night. I witnessed her standing before a door that opened to nothingness one evening. Her eyes filled with tears as she murmured, "I'll never stop. As long as I keep building, they won't hurt me." It was a haunting statement that showed the depth of her dark desperation. As the mansion expanded, a noticeable creepiness settled upon it. Visitors began reporting strange incidents, whispers that sent shivers down their spines, shadows that appeared and vanished, and a supernatural feeling of being watched from hidden corners. One stormy night, I saw something that sent chills all over my body. Lightning illuminated the house, and I saw figures moving through its windows. These ghosts seemed to awaken, wandering the maze-like hallways with mournful cries that echoed through the halls. As the haunting of the mansion increased, so did Mrs. Winchester's illness. She became more and more isolated, rarely going outside. It was as if the spirits had taken control of her life. But one day, she climbed to the top of the mansion's tallest tower, and the wind cried around her. "I'm done," she whispered, closing her eyes and taking a step. But something extraordinary happened. The mansion itself seemed to come to life, stopping her from falling. It was as if the building had become a part of her, both protector and jailer. Later, with Mrs. Winchester's mysterious departure, the mansion fell into an odd silence. Construction stopped, and the whispers came to an end. Yet it didn't remain quiet for long. With its twisting corridors and hidden rooms, it had attracted new residents, the Miller's family. The Millers were drawn to the house's confusing history. They had heard tales of the haunting and the weird design, but they did not believe in the supernatural world. They were determined to make it their home, not realizing the secrets that waited for them. As the Millers settled into their new home, strange things began to happen. Whispering voices filled the night, doors opened and shut by themselves, and ghostly figures made appearances. It was becoming quite clear that the mansion's history was far from over. I heard from a neighbor about an evening he'd been told by Miss Miller. The family gathered in the slightly lit living room as a chilling wind swept through the house. The candles flickered wildly, and the temperature dropped. Figures began to appear in the shadows, and the Millers found themselves confronted by the restless ghosts of the Winchester mansion. Frightened, they began a quest to uncover the truth behind the old building. They dived into its history, studying old records and letters. They learned about Mrs. Winchester's obsession and the spirits that had haunted her. As they dug deeper, they discovered hidden passages, secret rooms, and unexpected messages left behind by her. It was as if she had left a trail for them to follow, a path that would lead to answers and, perhaps, a way to put the restless souls to rest. One fateful night, deep within the heart of the mansion, the Millers stumbled upon a hidden chamber. It was decorated with candles and mysterious symbols, as though it was where Mrs. Winchester had performed her nightly rituals. It became clear that the family had uncovered the key to understanding the mansion's dark history. Without hesitation, they lit the candles, recited the spells, and waited. The room grew colder, and they heard faint whispers in the shadows. The spirits of the Winchester mansion were once again summoned. They began to show up, their forms shifting from air to more solid. The family were terrified when doors and windows opened and slammed. The chandeliers kept swinging, and the angry souls seemed bothered. It took a long and stressful seance that was leaving the family traumatized with fear. But after a few hours, spirits seemed to calm down. They didn't seem dangerous anymore, but filled with sadness and longing. The ritual continued, and the Millers found out about their stories, their regrets, and pain. With each passing day, the darkness grew weaker, and the oppressive atmosphere that had taken over for so long began to disappear. The Millers had finally succeeded in helping the trapped souls find peace. With them at rest, the Winchester mansion went under a huge transformation. The confusing architecture finally seemed more clear. The angry shadows that had haunted the place vanished. The family had unraveled the old mysteries. The Winchester House was no longer a place of fear, but a home filled with history and stories of the past. And as for me, the constructor, I continued to watch the mansion every day when I walked past it, never forgetting what I had experienced while working in its rooms and corridors. The mansion had finally found peace, and I too found tranquility in its newfound serenity. Thanks for joining Abandoned Cast. Before we wrap up, we're dying to know, what's your dream spooky destination for our next adventure? Share your haunting suggestions in the comments below, and let's keep the conversation eerie. If you enjoyed our chilling journey, give us a thumbs up and remember to subscribe for more thrilling explorations. Until next time, stay curious and keep the ghostly stories alive.